Adobe and CNBC TV18 present Future Unleashed.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Adobe and CNBC TV18 present Future Unleashed for every business everywhere in digital India. In an era where digital transformation is crucial for businesses of all sizes, leveraging innovative tools is key to staying competitive. In today's discussion, we look at some major industry trends that are driving future strategies. From the integration of generative AI to enhance creativity, to the importance of collaboration for achieving higher productivity, to data mining, usage, customer personas, services, we shall look at addressing these and also the challenges and opportunities that generative AI presents for Indian businesses. Joining me today in the studio, Basakaran, Natarajan, Head TCS Interactive-DX at Tata Consultancy Services, and Girish Balachandran, Senior Director and Head of Digital Media Business, India, South Asia, Adobe. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Mudra.
So, Girish, let me start with you. And I'll quote NASSCOM's annual Enterprise and Tech Services CXO survey for 2024 that highlights that 95% of organizations in India are seeing generative AI as their key priority strategy for the next 12 months. And all of these clients of yours and industry stakeholders come in different shapes and sizes. How, as a company, when you are meeting so many of them, are you aligning their goals with the whole change? And what are you advising them?
If you step back and look at India's journey towards being an economic powerhouse, digital transformation is going to play a key role, right? Our efforts towards digital transformation is going to play a key role in terms of reaching that target of 1 trillion, from a digital economy by 2027, 2028. If you also look back at our own lives, you will see that all aspects of digital are rapidly transforming the way we work and the way we play, if you will, right? Our personal lives and our businesses. And this is happening across industries. This is happening across industries from entertainment to healthcare to financial services to manufacturing. The creation and consumption of content and applications is just exploding because the sheer growth in terms of number of mediums, surfaces, and channels out there, right? So how do you keep pace with this demand for content, right? So that's something which is actually bringing to the fore the entire element of creativity. And creativity is just redefining productivity today. If you look at India and how do we actually help companies in India across all industries, like I said, how do we help them leverage generative AI, or how do we help them leverage the digital transformation efforts that we see today? I think there are a few key elements that need to be in place for that to culminate in fruition, right? So one is in terms of access to what we call business grade products and solutions, right? Access to future ready technologies, if you will, right? Yeah. And hyper personalization capabilities, because companies today are looking at implementing digital for what? To get a unified view of their customers, to be able to deliver an engaging experience at every given opportunity, right? So you need to be able to drive hyper-personalization, strategies, and also the ability to actually have robust security measures in place, because all of this comes at a cost. There are ramifications, broad ramifications, and also enhanced collaboration, because you have people now working from different locations. How do we ideate? Creative team could be in one location, your IT team could be in another location. How do we get everybody to come together? So these are some of the broad themes that we see emerging in our engagement with companies across the board.
Interesting. And we're going to come to every aspect of that. Basakaran, if I may get you in. TCS is also working across multiple industries. How do you see technology, especially AI-driven solutions, reshaping the way businesses are approaching customers, customer experience, the right persona, and of course, the customer who's asking for service right here, right now, in real time with all the agility and resilience? But how is that happening, and what are some of the things that are making it possible?
The generative AI and the AI solutions are enabling the brands to completely relook at how they can approach the customer experience. So it empowers them to elevate the experience first approach.
Right.
So what it means is, from a businesses to their customers interaction, how we can make it more contextual and more persistent connect, and deliver more in-moment experience the level of personalization you can
Right.
do with the generative AI. So that's going to be the number one enablement for the businesses. So with that, what it means, the businesses can balance a three piece, which is very important in today's world.
All right.
Balancing the brand purpose, profits, and personalization. So this is something common across all industries, whether it's a financial services or a healthcare or a retail, where the brands are trying to deliver more proactive and more real-time personalization.
Right.
At the same time, looking at how they can responsibly engage with the customers.
Girish, in what ways does Adobe enable organizations to harness the power of Gen AI with innovation and creativity, and you're looking at scalability all at once, and the speed of all three of these pillars could be very different. Technology is moving way fast.
Way fast.
You're working with pan-generational
Yeah.
people. Creativity is at the helm of it.
Yeah.
Having said that, there is also productivity and scalability that you have to
Yeah.
think of. Sometimes, when you talk about the profit purpose
Yeah.
and personalization, sometimes it feels like everything is clashing with each
Yeah.
other.
Adobe, I think, can play a vital role in helping companies, in Indian companies especially, leverage generative AI,
Mhm.
right? And the potential of generative AI, if you apply it strategically, can actually give you what we call step change transformation
Mhm.
across creativity, productivity, efficiency, and scale across all parts of the organization. We have a huge middle class and which is growing, right? And this leads to a huge demand for content. And this middle class is driving consumption across all segments of the economy. So how do you keep pace with this demand for content, right?
Right.
So that's where generative AI comes in. Now, how do we help organizations apply this across all parts of the company, right? So for creatives, what we see is that we actually help creatives leverage our generative AI technologies to scale and create cutting edge content, right? Which can actually help them launch campaigns for their customers. And not just that, it actually helps them automate a lot of these what we call manually intensive but repetitive tasks. So that's what we help creatives do. Now, if you look at IT, operations and IT,
Mhm.
they actually support both creatives and marketing teams
Mhm.
in terms of getting content created for them as well. So how do we actually help them automate what we call production of variations in terms of content, which could be one piece of content, but you might need just hundreds of variations for that piece of content to cater to different kinds of geos,
Yeah.
audiences, or different channels. But the basic underlying content is still the same, but there is still a lot of repetitive manual work involved. So how do we help IT and operations team cater to that so that in turn, marketing and creative's time is freed up to be able to focus on more impactful tasks? And lastly, for marketeers, what we see is that we actually help them leverage Adobe generative AI technologies to self-serve themselves and be able to easily edit content to deliver campaigns at scale, which would not have been possible before. But the one key thing here is maintaining brand consistency at all times.
Right.
When you scale campaigns, when you scale all of this, you need to make sure that you're still on brand. And
Right.
that is what we help them do. So across creatives, marketeers, and operations and IT, I think the applicability is
Wonderful.
yeah.
And it's also breaking silos.
Absolutely.
Whenever we have people working in silos, we see that either creativity suffers or productivity is suffering.
Mhm.
And they're never on the same page when it comes to scalability, because everybody is at their different levels of understanding the system or Gen AI. How important is it now to break these silos, and what are some of the ways in which consultancies and companies like yours are making it possible for people? I'll start with you and then come to you.
TCS has the innovation hub, TCS Spaceport, and interactive design studios globally.
Right.
And this is where we engage with our customers and prospects to innovate new digital products and services, and also to reimagine the way the businesses can engage with their customers. So as part of this creative process, we have integrated the entire generative AI workflow. So with that, what happens is we are able to bring together the various creative team across the globe, across various studios to one common workspace.
Mhm.
So that way we are able to do a more creative collaboration. With the tool and generative AI powered, we are able to improve the productivity.
Right.
So when it comes to the balancing of creativity and productivity, so it's also important the consistency in the quality. It's not just about the productivity.
Yeah.
It's also the quality. So I think with that, we have seen the impact of generative AI across the value chain of the creative process. So I think the overall productivity and creativity is both goes together with the generative AI, and generative AI only amplifies the level of creativity it can do.
But that is so good to hear, because a lot of people have started to feel that creativity and productivity cannot exist in the same sentence if you're talking about Gen AI. But we're looking at Adobe that is making it possible. How do we break these silos is the main question.
The Adobe State of Creativity Report 2024, which would just come out in partnership with Edelman, DNI, and Havas Play. If you look at that, with the advent of Gen AI, users around the globe are already reporting 31% improvement in turnaround times, right, in terms of asset creation. 27% reduction in terms of reviews required, and 25% reduction in rework required.
Oh,
that's significant savings from a productivity standpoint. And if you look at from an Adobe stack perspective, Adobe portfolio standpoint, Adobe's creativity tools like Stock, Frame.io, or Adobe Express help accelerate creativity and productivity for creative professionals as well as for non-creatives as well. For example, Adobe Express actually helps marketers, like I said, create content, easily edit content, not having to depend on creatives to do that work for them. That means that the turnaround times are much quicker, and ability to get campaigns out through the door are much quicker than what they were earlier. So that is on the non-creative side. And if you look at solutions like Adobe Stock or Adobe Frame, actually helps creatives create what we call rapid scaling up, rapid production of, highly personalized content.
They're not getting stuck in processes. They're actually using their brains to do something creative.
For ideation and getting out cutting edge content out there much quicker than what they used to do earlier. And again, making sure that everything stays on brand, making sure everything stays within guidelines, and also safe and responsible use of Gen AI. So I think from that perspective, creativity and productivity go hand in hand. And not just that, if you look at the Adobe portfolio of Document Cloud, it actually promotes what we call anywhere productivity. It helps drive seamless collaboration between internal and external stakeholders. You could be an employee, you could be collaborating with a customer, with a vendor, with a partner, and this solution actually sits within our everyday use applications like Microsoft Teams, for example. It helps people in remote locations in different parts of the geography work together real time on documents, make edits, collaborate, give point of view, and actually cut down the turnaround time to get anything out there production ready. So overall, I would say that creativity and productivity definitely have a huge scope, and they go hand in hand. And also, to come back to one point, Mugdha, that you mentioned earlier, I just want to touch upon that, where you mentioned point of view about AI taking away jobs or something. So I just wanted to add something, that the Adobe point of view very clearly is that the generative AI tools are just going to augment human creativity. They are never going to replace human creativity. We firmly believe that our solutions will be a co-pilot in terms of furthering human creativity, but not a replacement.
Adobe and CNBC TV18 present Future Unleashed. Adobe and CNBC TV18 present Future Unleashed.
Welcome back. You're watching Adobe and CNBC TV18 present Future Unleashed for every business, everywhere in digital India, where I am in conversation with Basakaran Natarajan, head TCS Interactive-DX at Tata Consultancy Services, and Girish Balachandran, Senior Director and Head of Digital Media Business, India, South Asia, Adobe. I want to know, how do these things merge in your own offices and your own workflows? How much of creativity, productivity is maintained when you are moving ahead of tech and times, and how are your workflows made easier with this?
So we have the creative team and the content team globally distributed for a single problem statement or for a single customer work. So the entire team is collaborating globally. So that is where the creative team focus on the creative aspect of it, with the generative AI powered content creation. That's where the productivity comes to the play. And the creatives in the loop to ensure that this is brand aligned and on brand content, and that aligns the overall brand purpose. So the creativity and productivity both goes hand in hand. And internally, if you give an example, we partnered with Adobe for one of the event, possible event in US. It's a global conference where the marketeers and CMOs attend that event. So in that event, every day there are about 25 plus sessions happens, and event organizers, they wanted to send out the entire summary of all the sessions in the same day, just within an hour after the session ends. So this is where we have partnered with Adobe to leverage their generative AI tools to convert all the video recordings of the sessions to the text. From the text, we have used the Adobe tool to summarize to get the key message. Then again, we have used the Adobe Express, the creative aspect, to create the newsletter and push to all the participants in the same
within
day within an hour, right? So it usually takes a few hours, and the work we made it happen in a few minutes.
Wonderful.
So this is where we brought together the collaboration of the various team and improved on the productivity without compromising on the creativity. So this is one example how we adapted internally in partnership with Adobe.
Excellent. But you know, there always is that threat of Gen AI and data security. What are some of the challenges that you see in the industry at the moment, and how is Adobe looking at fixing those issues?
So Mugdha, in all our conversations with CXOs, some of the key concerns and challenges that they cite are about, will my business get exposed to risks because of using Gen AI? Will my business get exposed to risk around copyright infringement, for example?
Correct.
Ethical use of AI. Right. Brand consistency issues. Right. So and commercially safe for use. These are some of the concerns that we see playing out in CXOs' minds often, and of course on privacy and data security.
Correct.
For example, there is a recent Forbes survey report which says 76% of consumers express concerns about the potential spread of misinformation due to the advent of generative AI. And this is especially concerning in areas like media, where factual accuracy and trust are super critical, right? So how do we actually help address this? So if you look at from an Adobe standpoint, our generative AI solutions are all underpinned within our what we call AI ethics framework, which is based on what we call accountability, responsibility, and transparency. So every single AI-powered feature that we actually release goes through a very rigorous end-to-end testing and review process, from design to development to deployment. And it also goes through what we call an AI assessment, ethics assessment, impact assessment, right? So for example, the features which are classified as low impact will actually get cleared that much soon, and features that include, for example, neural filters or ability to change human characteristics and which are likely to promote gender biases and all of that, they go through rigorous process of testing and through the ethics framework, and only then are they released. And we also have a continuous feedback mechanism where consumers can actually submit feedback after using the products if they have some concerns, which gets routed back to the ethics framework committee, which actually can look at that and then allocate resources to help address that, right? And if you look at our flagship generative AI tool, which is called Adobe Firefly, it is actually trained on what we call Adobe stock images, 350 million plus Adobe stock images, which is proprietary data of Adobe, and it is trained on openly licensed content and public domain content where copyright is expired, to make sure that we adhere to ethical use of data and stay within the compliance framework. So, and from a customer standpoint, none of the customer's enterprise data is taken to train our models. So customer data privacy is secure, so we're not using that data to train our engine to make it better. So it's all trained on Adobe proprietary data or openly licensed content. So from that standpoint, it's fully secure and safe.
Basakaran, well, all of these things are taking center stage, and we are talking about generative AI, we are talking about tech adoption, we are talking about culture, capacity building, productivity, creativity, scalability, everything. But there is a very important piece of ESG and sustainability and compliances that is now coming to the fore and is increasingly becoming very, very important in the same narrative. Do you see Gen AI contributing to these fields as well in real time as people work?
So, generative AI is playing a very important role in the sustainability along with the digital capabilities, whether you are trying to create a new products, sustainability friendly products, or you are trying to digitize the entire paperless enterprise,
right?
Whether you are trying to create a content, or you are trying to completely reimagine the customer contact center and customer service operations. So, across the various customer journeys from brand to the consumers, there are multiple ways that generative AI is playing a role from a sustainability perspective and net zero and carbon footprint.
Right.
And having said that, there is also a debate that to enable this foundational generative AI capabilities, what is the kind of the
cost.
Energy and compute
yes.
and cost?
At what cost is it coming?
And what it means to the sustainability environment.
Right.
So that is something is going to, I think we have to wait and watch in terms of the balance of the generative AI enabling the brands to create more sustainable products and services, and what the computing power they are consuming to enable that, right? It's going to be a balance.
Well, as they say, we are living in very interesting times and you leaders have that big job to do. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time and for all the insights. This was such a wonderful interaction. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Adobe and CNBC TV 18 present Future Unleashed.